Welcome to Volunteer Journal. I'm your host, Walter Black. On Volunteer Journal, we introduce you to some of the persons who are improving the quality of life in our community through their involvement in volunteer-based programs. In a few minutes, we'll visit with representatives of an organization that helps families and individuals overcome the challenges of life in the inner city. It's called Change Happens. But first, we'll learn about the historic Houston Fire Museum and its evolving array of features and attractions. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Our guests on this segment of the show are with the Houston Fire Museum, and they are its Executive Director, Angela Rain, and a volunteer, a very valued volunteer with the organization, and a retired firefighter, James Godlove. Welcome to you both.
Good morning.
Hello.
Angela, let's talk about some very specific things to start out with, like where is the museum located?
The museum is at 2403 Milam Street. We're about 3 blocks south of the Pierce Elevated and in the heart of Midtown.
I see. But it's a little bit away enough, I think, from the center of town to where potential visitors don't have to worry too much about getting in the crunch of downtown traffic.
Oh, absolutely not. And there's parking right on the street in front of the museum. You're within 5 steps from the front door.
Great. And what are the hours?
We're open 10 to 4, Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay. Well, let's start getting to some broader issues. And let me ask, how old is the museum building itself?
Well, the museum is actually housed in an 1899 firehouse. It was built by the City of Houston as Station Number 7, and it opened its doors to one of the first paid firefighting stations in the city. Prior to that, from 1838 until that time, almost all of Houston's fire protection was volunteer services. It stayed a firehouse until '69. In 1969, it closed, and it became a museum in 1982, and we've been open and running ever since.
Very good. And you've been executive director for how long?
A little over a year. I was hired to come in and do a rehabilitation on the building. The exhibits in the building were, again, built in '82, and after about 30 years, they were a little tired, need a little bit of upgrading, a little bit more information brought in. And so what we're doing at the present time is we're restoring it back to 1930s when the fire station was in its heydays.
Very good. Well, in a minute, I'll ask you about some of the features, but I know you feel passionately about the importance of the museum. Can you articulate that?
Certainly. History is a passion of mine, but fire history is very intriguing because not only does it tell you the history of a city department and tell part of the history of the city that you live in, it also tells about firefighters and their role in protecting us as citizens. The offside of a fire museum is, besides telling that history, it lets the visitor understand what their role in their own fire safety is, and it teaches everyone how to be fire safe, which is very, very important because everyone feels like fire is something that usually happens to someone else. And of course, it doesn't. It happens to everyone. And our goal, besides teaching about how wonderful firefighters are and the history of the City of Houston, is to make sure that when everyone leaves, they understand how to be fire safe and to try to cut down on fire injuries and fire deaths.
And I guess you get a lot of families with kids come to the museum.
We do, and that's one of our largest target audiences. Children under 5 are 8 times more likely to have a fire injury or death than the adults in our population. The only thing that surpasses that is seniors 65 and older, for a whole different set of reasons. And we get a lot of seniors too. We even have special senior programming in September, which is Grandparents Month. So we do a lot of special things for those. Part of our new rehab is we're building an area inside the museum called Tyke Town, as in Little Tyke Children, and it's a self-contained town that children will be able to interact with. It has fire truck 7.5, and it houses fire station 7.5. It has a pole for children to slide down, a truck for them to get in. They can try on real firefighting gear, take hoses off the back of the truck and pretend to put out fires. They can go to the Junior Fire Academy and learn to become fire safe kids. We have a 2-story escape house for them to escape out of, down ladders and stairs and crawling low under smoke and going to their safe meeting places. It's going to be a fabulous place.
Great. And I know they must have a lot of fun with that, but do you think they come away with a respect for fire safety issues?
I think they do. The trick to teaching children is to engage them and entertain them. And if you can engage them and entertain them, they'll learn the concepts. And that's sort of the focus that we have done with this area, is to attract the children in something that's brightly colored, that attracts their interest, their age-appropriate learning levels, in such a way that they're learning while playing and don't even know that they've learned anything by the time they leave.
Mm-hmm. Well, could you tell us about some other features of the museum, either current or in the wings?
The current museum is going to do a timeline through the different bays that hold fire apparatus or fire trucks and fire engines. We'll start with the volunteer age and steamers, horse-drawn, hand-drawn. Believe it or not, firefighters not only put out the fires, but they used to actually pull the fire trucks to the fire to put the fires out. And then we'll talk about motorized pieces of apparatus, and then we'll go upstairs in the firehouse. And upstairs, we're reinterpreting the locker rooms, again with the timeline that'll start with 1890s when the fire station opened and go all the way through the 1980s. So we'll have 100 years of firefighting history upstairs. You'll get to visit what the dorm room looked like where the firefighters slept. You'll see what their leisure time activities were after 5 in the evenings, see the kinds of food that they ate, the table that was set. The officers' area where the desk would be set up for scheduling logs and cleaning and working on personnel reports and raises and promotions and all those fun kinds of things. We'll also have a lot of programming to go along with that. Read Across America is a great example. The National Education Association wanted to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday, and so every year on his birthday, they celebrate a thing called Read Across America. And their theme is, you're never too old, too wacky, too wild to pick up a book and read to a child. So we celebrate that at the Fire Museum every year, and we have firefighters come in and read to children in their uniforms. And it does a couple of different things. It celebrates Dr. Seuss's birthday, but it also gives us an opportunity to read to children about fire safety, about firefighters, fire horses, Dalmatian dogs. And it teaches children not to fear firefighters, because that's a large problem that we have with children. Firefighters usually are kind of big and tall, and they're burly and kind of sometimes a little scary, and they're in uniforms. And this is a way of reaching children without intimidating them.
Very good. And I saw on your website that you have a museum store.
Oh, that's a huge popular item. And we cater to children from 0 to 99.
Mm-hmm.
Fire memorabilia, fire shirts. We carry the actual t-shirts that the firefighters wear on the job. We carry those from size newborn all the way up to triple X's. We carry tie tacks, pins, mugs, travel mugs, patches, coloring books, Dalmatian dogs for you to take home, and any and everything in between.
Very good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the volunteer side of things. Are volunteers important to the museum?
Absolutely. We have a staff of 2. And with the staff of 2, it makes it very difficult to run a museum that's open 5 days a week. We have lots of volunteers that come in and help us for a variety of different tasks. We have firefighters, both active duty and retired, that work with giving tours to children. Giving us technical expertise to set up exhibits for rehabilitation or temporary and rotating exhibits. We also have people from all walks of life that come in that have educational backgrounds, clerical skills, filing, working in the gift shop, helping customers, interacting with children, special events, you name it, and we need volunteers for it.
Very good. Well, what would be 2 or 3 of your highest priorities at the moment?
The highest priorities are probably people to work with children in education. However, you don't need an education background to do it because most education programs don't teach fire safety. So we do all of our training in-house. It's very short, very simple, 7 very basic concepts, but we look for people that are interested in working with people. Because we do so many of our special events are centered around educational activities. The second highest priority, believe it or not, Walter, is clerical. We need a lot of admin people. It's very difficult to wait on a customer and still keep up with filing. Sure. Or tagging merchandise as it comes in, or inventorying the merchandise as it goes upstairs, or proofing and editing text or videos, or putting together, typing up educational handouts that we give to children. So there's a lot of clerical tasks that we also look for. And then probably our final category would be people to help with special events. It takes a lot less time commitment from volunteers, but when we put on an event like Firefest is one of our annual events that we have in celebration of Fire Safety Month every year, we need about 175 volunteers to work 8 hours one day. Mm-hmm. That takes a little bit of training on the front side and a little bit of follow-up on the back side, but a tremendous volunteer source to be able to pull an event off like that with 2 staff members.
Sure. Well, let's turn to a real-life volunteer and a real-life firefighter, though retired. James, let me ask first, how long were you on the force?
I was 25 years with the Houston Fire Department. Retired from Station 37 about 7 years ago.
I see. And when did you get involved with the museum?
Oh, probably about 5 years ago. It's just a way to give back to HFD. I enjoy interacting. I have a lot of firefighters come in, and it's like, oh, I've worked with you. I was in recruiting. I've helped hire some of these people. It's nice to see how they've made rank. And you just tell old war stories.
Sure. What kind of things do you do there?
Whatever they ask me to, basically. Oh. But I'll come in, I'll go through the Chronicle, clip out articles relating to the fire department. It's been kind of tough sometimes with the fire deaths and all. But then stalking, in fact, HCC, I had a HCC fire cadet class that I gave a tour to, all female. It was really kind of exciting for me to see the future of the fire department.
Mm-hmm. And I often ask volunteers what the satisfaction is that they get out of their volunteering. And I'll ask that of you too, but I'd also like to ask that in conjunction with when you were an active firefighter, what was your motivation? What kept you going there?
Truthfully, you're a firefighter. Your job is to save lives. That, you don't worry about the pay. You are there with your family, because in the fire department, you've got 2 families. You've got the family at home, you've got your fire department family. These are your brothers and sisters. You depend on them. And being at the Fire Museum, it's a way I can stay connected with those firefighters. Really, we need more retired firefighters to come in, just because it's such a rewarding experience. It's exciting to see the changes going on right now. Mm-hmm. I just find a great deal of satisfaction. It just, like I say, it just keeps me connected.
I think well stated. Well, I see we don't have much time left, so in the remaining moments, Angela, let you give the phone number people can call and the website they can check out to learn more about the museum, and hopefully some of them volunteer.
Outstanding. The phone number is 713-524-2526, and the website address is www.houstonfiremuseum.org.
Very good. Well, thanks so much, Angela. Thank you, James.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for having us, Walter.
While we allow time for our next guests to take their places, we're going to tell you about some other volunteer opportunities available in the greater Houston community. Retired nurses are wanted by a Southwest Houston organization that channels donated medical supplies and equipment to third world countries. The nurses categorize and group the materials and serve as team leaders for other volunteers who inventory and pack the goods in preparation for shipment. Duty shifts can be arranged for weekdays or weekends. For more information, call Volunteer Houston at 713-965-0031. Help with homework is provided by volunteers in an after-school program at an apartment complex in Alief for low-income families. These volunteers work one-on-one or with small groups of elementary school kids to help them hone their skills in basic subjects. No teaching experience is required, just a good rapport with youngsters and a command of the material to be covered. Call Volunteer Houston at 713-965-0031 for more details. Clerical support is needed at a dental clinic in the Montrose area for persons with AIDS. Volunteer duties will include greeting and signing in patients, answering the phone, updating schedules and related paperwork, and filing charts. The clinic is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. A commitment to 1 4-hour shift per week is all that's asked. For information on this and other volunteer opportunities, please call Volunteer Houston at 713-965-0031. We're back now with two guests from an organization called Change Happens. They are Kay Shakir, Director of Development, and Trinell Davis, Volunteer Coordinator. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Walter.
Thank you.
Kay, how would you articulate the mission of Change Happens?
The mission of Change Happens is simple. It's empowering people to help themselves. We want to empower the clients and the people and the kids that we work with to be able to go out in the world and succeed at anything they do. And we do that by offering them resources, giving them skills, knowledge, and the support that they need to succeed.
Very good, very good. And several years ago, I did an interview with Trinell and Reverend Leslie Smith, the founder of the organization. And at that time, the organization was called Families Under Urban and Social Attack, better known as FUSIT. But the name has changed not too long ago, I think. And can you explain the logic or feeling behind the name change?
Well, we actually changed the name in 2009. In October, we changed it to Change Happens. Change Happens had actually been one of our tags and one of our mottos, mottos for 20 years. And so when we were looking at where we were going in the future, we really wanted a name that was not only reflective of the people we serve, but of what it is that we're doing on a daily basis. And what better than change happens?
Exactly, exactly. And at that time, I believe you were headquartered on Dowling, and you're now on Elgin, and I know you're very proud of the new building. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, we are. We are actually at 3353 Elgin, about 2 blocks up from the central campus of University of Houston. And we are in a 27,000 square foot, 3-story building. We're still located in the 3rd Ward. And we are really proud of that building. We've been in the building since 2005. And it's a nice building. It's wonderful. It's where our 3rd Ward after school program is actually held. And we also have clients that come there and, we give them services there as well.
Very good. Well, you mentioned 3rd Ward. Is that your geographical area of focus, or do you go beyond that zone, so to speak?
We go well beyond 3rd Ward. We actually serve as Harris County and the 12 surrounding counties. So we're really out there and reaching a whole lot of people. Last year we provided services to 110,000 people.
Very good. And how do you get your funding?
We get our funding from different sources. We receive grants from corporations, such as Comcast, Shell, Centerpoint, Reliant. We also are funded by different foundations. Over the years, we've received funding from foundations such as, the Simmons Foundation. We've also received money from Houston Endowment. And then, of course, where would we be without our individual donors that consistently, support us on an annual basis through different events and, just general giving.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got an interesting array of programs. Do you charge fees for those
We don't
programs?
charge fees. A lot of our programs are funded through government funding, which is a large percentage of our funding that we receive that is strictly for our programs. So we don't need to charge services because we do have that financial support from federal and state funding.
Excellent. Well, let's explore those programs a little bit as time permits. So I'll turn to you, Trinell. You have a program called the Rescue Youth Program. Could you explain that a little bit?
Certainly. Our Rescue Youth Program, we have 2 after-school programs. One housed, as Kay mentioned, at our main office, which is on Elgin, and we have another after-school program located in Acres Home. It's actually located in Acres Home Multi-Service Center. Another program that we have is our In Schools program. This is also a youth program in which staff go into several districts. We're in HISD, Alief, Aldine, Spring, and North Forest districts, and they teach curriculums, one called Positive Action and the other called Life Skills. They teach these curriculums at all grade levels, elementary, middle, and high school, and they focus on positive behavior and motivation. They also deal with prevention, avoiding substance abuse, avoiding gangs, and any juvenile behavior, and also dropout. So that's our youth programs. And we also have a mentoring program, which is part of our youth programs.
And we'll get to that in a moment. Roughly how many youngsters are touched by those programs you just mentioned?
Oh, thousands.
Wow.
Just the in-school programs, we're in over 30 schools. So it's thousands of kids. For our after-school program, each year we have close to 80 kids in the program, not to mention the summer program that we have as well. And each summer we get close to 150 kids in our summer program. And in our mentoring program, we match a little over 100 kids each year.
I see. And where does that mentoring take place? Is it at a specific facility, or do the mentors and the youth get together to go like to the movies or a ball game or whatever?
Correct. It's actually a community-based program, which means that the mentors mentor the youth outside of our agency. They, as you mentioned, they can go to the movies, to the park, museums. We encourage them to mentor for at least 1 year. Minimum time that they meet with the kids is 4 hours a month. And of course, we encourage more time, but that's the minimum time requirement.
And what is the specific age range of the kids in the mentoring program?
The kids can range from as young as 4 up to 18 years old.
Very good.
Yes.
And these days, Trinell, if you were to identify 2 or 3 problems or challenges that youth in the inner city face today, at least in the inner city Houston, what might they be? Would be
I can
temptation
identify,
of drugs? Or
right, that would be number 1, I would say. Drug involvement, also dropout rate, dropping out, and involvement in gangs.
And I imagine all those three are interrelated.
Yes, yes.
Well, let's go on to the next program on my list, outreach services. What does that encompass?
Our outreach service encompasses our CHIP program, which stands for Children's Health Insurance Program. And what they do is assist families with the entire application process for CHIP, Medicaid, food stamps, and TANF. The staff there actually go out to hospitals, clinics, apartment complexes. We're in several grocery stores like H-E-B. What they basically do is set up tables, and families come and they assist them again with the entire application process, which can be difficult, especially for those Hispanic families where there's a language barrier. So majority of our staff are bilingual.
Very good. And you've got an HIV prevention program?
Yes, we do. Our HIV prevention program goes out in the community, and they educate people about the disease. They educate them so that they can practice safe sex, and they can learn more about the disease to prevent from acquiring HIV. They also hand out safe sex kits. They also provide testing. We have a mobile unit that goes out to various communities, especially those most at-risk communities. And we call them, jokingly, the Marines, because they are out there in the trenches. They're out in the evening sometimes with your most at-risk populations, such as sex workers, drug users, and they provide an array of information. And again, they provide them with testing in which they can get a result as quick as 20 minutes.
Very good. And last on my list, Rescue in Motion Homeless Program.
Our Rescue in Motion Homeless Program is our homeless support program. They primarily target females that are in homeless shelters. They provide them with job readiness skills. These skills such as how to interview, how to write a resume, also basic job ethics. These skills help them in finding a job. We collaborate with WorkSource in assisting us with finding these ladies a job, and with Dress for Success that will provide them with professional clothing to start a job. That's one component. And then we have what's called a permanent housing program. And these ladies who have been chronically homeless and have a documented disability can qualify to receive housing in which this grant will pay 70 to 100% of their rent.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I see we don't have too much time left, so maybe I'd like to ask Kay, what are some future plans that might be in the wings? Your organization has come a long way in the time it's existed, and it's done an impressive job, but I suspect you have some other ideas for the future.
We do. We're actually working towards building a job readiness facility in the 3rd Ward where we will do on-the-site training with people in the community and help them to get job skills. And so it's going to be really fabulous, and we're very excited about it.
Great, great. Well, in closing, let either one of you give the phone number people can call and the website they can check out to learn more about Change Happens.
Well, they can call us at 713-374-1200. That is our main extension, and they can ask for either me or Trinell or any one of the services, and they can go on the website and view us at www.changehappenstx.org.
Great. Well, thank you both for being with us, and thank you, the viewer, for being with us on this edition of Volunteer Journal.